In the name of the Father, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Let us call on our Mother, Mother Mary. For us Jesuits, we have this feast, Mother of the Society of Jesus. We call on her always to inspire us in our vocations as Jesuits. So we pray the Hail Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. The other night, it was Saturday, because we have a doctor, one of our seminarians, scholastics, is a doctor. So he's in charge, he's our prefect of health. So he informed us that there are some vaccines available. So there was a flu vaccine and then also shingles. Do you know what shingles is? Uh, Shingles is a very kind of a strange disease. I was told it was kind of a, remember, you know, chicken pox, no? You know, chicken pox, it's usually children are affected by chicken pox, but shingles, it attacks kind of more elderly people from 50 and above. But there are kind of rashes that appear on the body, and the skin it becomes watery. No, it's like when you get when you are burned, no? So the skin becomes watery. So that's what shingles is. I think it's a virus. So it spreads in your body and it becomes very painful. So that's a kind of a vaccine against it. So I had myself vaccinated because I was afraid of getting it. Because I saw already before a Jesuit, an old Jesuit having shingles, Father Eduardo Hontiveros, the composer. But I saw how much he suffered. So it was kind of, so I got myself vaccinated. But the day after, Sunday, then I felt my body pains and I had fever. It's just like the feeling about with the booster. Remember the COVID booster shot? You had that, and the feeling was very, it was like having flu, no? And then even now, it's still here, kind of inflamed, no? Well, my arm is really big, no? But with the vaccination, it's a bit still kind of hard here, no? But anyway, so we'll see what happens. So I still took paracetamol this morning. So I hope I survive our class this afternoon. So I don't think we'll have a
Father,
long.
I had shingles, Father.
Oh,
I
before
had
you had.
shingles.
When was that?
Yes, yes, it's all in my face. It's here. It's all
Ah,
here up to here. And they said it's because of the stress and the low immune
okay.
system. I
When was that,
nearly get
sister?
blind.
Oh my goodness. When
That
was
was
that?
like 3 years ago. Three
3 years
years
ago.
ago. And
Yeah.
I was in Hong Kong at the time during the Holy
Mm.
Week of 2021. I think it's to 2021. Holy Week of
How long,
was really
sister?
suffering. Yeah,
How
the
long
whole
was
week.
the?
They gave me steroids, Father. I think
Okay.
that was a steroids, and they said it's a kind of they even called it like herpes. It's a herpes.
Okay.
It's a virus.
I think
That's why I
herpes
said, wow, I
zoster.
can get. Yeah, it's here. And then at the time, the doctor told me there will be a like a vaccine, but it was not available in Hong Kong at the
That
time, so I didn't get it. And it's very
now.
expensive, Father. I asked for the vaccine of shingles. It costs like 18,000 pesos if I like to get it today here in
Wow. Well, we
Philippines.
have a
It's very
supply here.
expensive.
But it's
Yeah,
not
yeah. So
18,000, not 18,000. Okay, how long did you
no, I think
recover?
it's good for you, Father.
How long did you take to
Father,
recover?
just a week, Father. Just
Oh,
a
just a
week.
short time. Okay.
Just 1 week, yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
isolated in the convent. They just delivered my food, but all
Uh-huh.
my half of my face is all swollen,
Yeah.
and
So in
my
your
eyes.
case,
I still have my picture. It's
uh-huh.
terrible, Father. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
terrible.
In your case, the face, but this Jesuit I
Yes,
was telling you about, Father Hontiveros, got it here, just right here,
yes, yes. They
the
called it the
body
snake's belt.
around. It's like a belt here
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
of
They called
wound.
it the
That's it.
snake's belt for
Snake's belt.
others. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yes. And sometimes it's still like I still have all my wounds, I mean the scars. is all still all here.
Stars, yeah.
And they need to, I also was taking neurobion, something like with something with the nerves.
There's a medication, huh?
Yeah, some medication for like for vitamin something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a good father. I think it's better
Okay,
that you
okay.
you get
Yeah, better to
the
have that,
vaccine.
than to get
Yes.
the. Okay, so we'll just discuss. I don't think we'll have a long class because we just want to discuss the aspect of formation to the priesthood. No? Most of you are sisters, but it's also important for our sisters to get to know how the formation program of priests. In last class, I gave you kind of an idea the historical development of the of seminaries, how seminaries emerge, how they kind of develop from a kind of a very simple kind of formation. What was required basically was for these men, first they have to be men, number two they have to know how to read and to write. That's all. Good luck, all the best. But of course, through the years, because of certain difficult moments in our church history, especially the Reformation, when the church really went into a decay, a lot of ignorance was happening, lack of formation. Of course, a lack of formation of the laity because there was no one who was guiding them. Even the priests needed a good deal of reformation. And because of that, to address the concerns and the problems of the Reformation, the Pope called the Council of Trent. No, next to Vatican II, within our own time, the last most important council was the Council of Trent. And who are the big personalities who emerged at this time? Saint Charles Borromeo. He was Archbishop of Milan, so he really championed the formation of the diocesan clergy. And then a number of Jesuits were involved also at the discussions at the Council of Trent and to help the church kind of recover through the establishment of schools. And in many of these schools, the priests, seminarians were trained in these schools. Okay, so let's proceed with our discussion. So one important thing that we have to consider is there are guidelines for formation. So in a while, I'll ask our diocesan priests about the formation guidelines that they have. So first, in our own country, we have what we call the Charter of Priestly Formation. No? Okay, in the Philippines, we have, this was recently released, 2023. This was released by the Catholic Bishops Conference of the Philippines, uh, the Episcopal Commission on Seminaries. It is entitled Ratio Formationis Sacerdotalis Nationalis, the order or the basic chapter, basic charter for the formation of priests on the national level. So how did this come about? The Vatican, I think it was in 2015, released a new guideline for formation for the whole world. And that was called the Ratio Fundamentalis Institutionis Sacerdotalis, no? The ratio or the charter for priestly formation, basically. And each country, based on their own context, had to prepare their own national policy. So therefore, of course, Indonesia, the Philippines, Vietnam prepared their own charter. So this is what the Philippine bishops prepared. Okay, question. In Indonesia, Yogo, as the Indonesian bishops prepared the national charter based on the ratio, universal ratio. No? How about in Vietnam, Father Phan Van Dai? Does Vietnam now have a charter for the formation of the clergy in the context of Vietnam? Phan Van Dai?
Yeah, we have Father.
You have,
Yes.
okay? Anyway, you're a diocesan formator, no? So try to be familiar with, honestly, I have not read the whole I have not
Yeah,
read the
yes.
whole text. So I try to browse those things that are important for theology, but I've not read the whole text because I'm not in seminary formation. No, I'm in an educational institution, but not specifically formation. No, but it's worth reading this. I myself have to familiarize myself with this. In fact, when I consulted this, because we are discerning here in LST about revising our curriculum for the STB, the Baccalaureate in Sacred Theology. That's the program for the priests, the seminarians to become priests, and also some sisters. Because in many places in the Philippines, the program is 4 years of theology. But there's only one place in the Philippines where it is not 4 years. It is UST. In UST, they get their degree, STB, in 3 years. But all over the world, it is 3 years. So that's the reason. And there was a time when LST was just all Filipino. But now things have changed. Now the Filipino population is about one half. One half Filipino in LST, one half international students like you. No? In fact, here you are majority international students in this classroom. Because there's only one Filipino here. But even among our online students, well, most of you are Filipinos, no? But here in LSD, in many classes of our seminarians, the majority are foreigners or international students, especially among the seminarians. So nosebleed sila sa pag-i-Ingles, no? They have to learn to speak English well, no? Because they cannot just speak in nosebleed, ng mga Pinoy. Yeah.
Right. How can everybody I put Vietnamese?
Yeah, in some classes, majority are Vietnamese. Yeah, so there you are. No, so I was checking the curriculum. What does the ratio say about formation for the study of theology? So what did I found? I found out that it prescribes a formation program in the seminary of a 4 year program, no, which can include SPFY. Have you heard of SPFY? It is the year in theology when the seminarians stop studying first, and then they do a year of non-academic, spiritual, and pastoral year. So therefore, so it does not say that the study of theology should be 4 years, no? So there's an opening here to have a 3 year program for the STB in 3 years. So that's why I consulted this text. No? So that's one important document, no? And then, of course, we have the particular rule of the seminary. So I guess it's not just seminaries that have a kind of a guideline or a rule. No? Even our religious congregations in our own houses, I suppose there are some policies that have to be followed. No? So therefore, each seminary should have a set of rules. Yeah, so that's the more kind of a more concrete application of the general charter for priestly formation. Okay, so there and then what we have. Okay, let's start with the general goal. What is the general goal of formation for our religious priests and for our sisters? As we discussed the goals of formation for diocesan seminarians, probably some of these aspects would be relevant for us also. So we are in Canon 244 and basically just summarizing what is already in the canon. No? Okay, the key word here is simultaneous. In Filipino, it's called sabay-sabay. No? Simultaneous. An aspect of formation, you do not do one by one. I'll complete this first. Then after I completed this, when I'm perfect here, then I move to the other aspect of formation. No, it does not work that way. It's all together. No, we do not perfect ourselves, obviously, in one aspect, not even in the whole. No, but we try our best to simultaneously develop the requisite human maturity. No? Now, in this aspect of human maturity, it's not just about intelligence, no? Because there are so many intelligent people who are immature. Okay, so what does maturity pertain to? Basically, it's the heart. No, okay. This is a symbol. We're using symbols. No, when we say knowledge, we point to the head. No, but of course, the head does not function in its own. No, it functions with the heart. Without the heart beat, without the blood being pumped out of the heart and in, the brain will not function. So we're in the level of symbolisms now. So it's not just the head, but the heart. And as you might all know, does it depend on age? Does maturity depend on age?
No.
Probably you know that from your own experience with your community members. No? So you have, we're talking about vocation. So you have older men who enter the seminary or religious life at 40 years old. Are they necessarily more mature? Sometimes it's the opposite. Or they might, how do you put it? I'm not saying they're immature, but sometimes it's more difficult for them to adjust to a new way of life. And that's the reason why in many of seminaries, there's already an age limit, no? And I think I forgot, I heard, because in the Society of Jesus, we accept even up to 40. But for some congregations, it might be less, no? For the sisters, I don't know really. What's the age limit for sisters? For diocesan seminarians, I'm curious about that. So as you know, before, most seminarians really come from minor seminaries before, no? And then after the minor seminary, they enter the college seminary, they study philosophy. And then they enter theology. But now things are a bit different, not just for diocesan, but for also religious. Because now, in many seminaries, there are candidates who finished another degree. They have a bachelor's degree in philosophy. They're not seminarians. They have an engineering degree, or they might have whatever, a psychology degree. And then they enter the seminary. A number of them already work outside, no? Earning some money for their family or for themselves. So so they come at different ages. Now, let me ask our seminary formators in Indonesia. Father Yogo, do you work in a philosophy seminary or in a theology seminary?
Both of the
In both.
the limit age in Jakarta is 35.
35. So you admit seminarians even up to 35 years old. And I suppose, yeah, many of them had already professional experience working outside. And then they mix together with the younger ones, like 20, 22 years old. Okay. Yeah. How about in Vietnam, Father Phan Van Dai, sorry. Do you establish a limit to admission to the seminary? Phan Van Dai, unmute yourself.
Father.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
Father.
Yes,
Yeah.
in your seminary. First of all, what is the name of your seminary in
The
Vietnam?
seminary of Saint Joseph
Which diocese?
belong to Archdiocese of Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City.
Saigon itself.
Yes.
Okay.
This
Are
is
you
the
studying
seminary.
in a theologate or philosophy?
It's include philosophy and theology. Father.
Theology.
Yeah, yes.
Do you have an age limit for theology to enter?
Because we enter from the state of philosophy, and after that we have the 1 year for pastoral year, and then enter the theological stage. Father.
Do you have vocations who studied before in the university and work as a professional?
Yes. When the candidate after the university, they will enter we have the 3 years at each diocese to prepare for the candidate to enter the seminary.
Seminary.
Yes.
So there is an involvement in the diocese to prepare
Yes.
them to
Yeah,
enter
yes,
the
we have
major
for the candidate
seminary.
for yes.
You set an age limit? Father, do you set an age limit?
How about the limit, Father? Age limit is 27.
27.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Why 27? Why not 25? 30? Why in the middle? It's okay. It's okay. But you know,
Okay.
it's a younger, no, a bit younger compared to
Yeah, yes.
Jakarta. Okay. Now here in the Philippines, you know, in general, they don't set an age limit. Because in fact, here in Manila, it was Jaime Cardinal Sin who established the Holy Apostle Senior Seminary. So these are seminarians preparing for becoming a diocesan priest who have already their college degrees. No, so I think the limit now is 40. I think it's a senior seminary. So therefore, they have a kind of special kind of formation. No, it's kind of different from the formation given to the younger seminarians. But one thing I heard that they're stricter. I don't know. But that's what I heard. Oh my God, this is recorded, no? But that's what I heard. It's stricter now. So for the old elder one,
They have already
there's a mind.
already ready for this.
I guess they're trying to make it strict to be able to readjust them to seminary formation. So that because if you let them go, just be on your own, then I guess it might not be conducive to seminary formation. So there we're talking about human maturity that does not necessarily come with age. No, you have younger vocations who, in their own attitudes and in the way they make decisions and carry themselves, then they are certainly manifest maturity. Acquire the spirit of the gospel. Again, simultaneously, while one works on human formation, also one undergoes a spiritual formation altogether. Simultaneous. Of course, in terms of spiritual formation, the goal is to have a close relationship with Christ. Part of the aspect of human maturity is psychological consultation. We discussed this already earlier, but I guess it's important also to stress the fact that this is very important. As much as possible, we should not omit psychological consultation in order to assess seminarians. Normally, this takes the form of a psychological exam, a psychological test. Yes. Yes.
In your time before your time.
A psychological. Psychological.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I entered the novitiate years ago. Some of you were not yet born, maybe. 1986, no? Father Yogo, when were you born?
Yes.
2 years after 88. Oh my God. I just
No. I'm 84.
You were born in 1984. So he's much younger. So I entered the novitiate 1986, no? So there we already had a psychological assessment, psychological testing. Yeah, because it seems so, even at that time, that was already part of the whole kind of a system of assessment and formation in the Philippines. No, in fact, it was kind of very strong even within our novitiate formation. The psycho-spiritual formation was very strong already. No? I guess some of the Filipino priests here are younger. Father Chris, when did you enter the religious life? 19 or 2000, ano na siguro? Yeah. How do you assess the situation? Now, there's still a strong kind of a stress on psychospiritual or nawala na yun? What do you think?
That is one of our problems in this generation, the formation, because there's strong psychological thing. But the thing is, our materials are already obsolete, like right? Unlike before, when I entered the Carmela, it's still relevant.
Yes, the psychological part of formation program.
Now we put another pillars like psychological, uh, the psychological aspect of the individual.
Okay.
We separated since me myself, I attended my spiritual session here in Emmaus.
Emmaus, yeah.
But now we just started in the formation.
Yes. Yeah. So it seems even before until now in the Philippine setting that has been maintained. Also because of the great need to stress and to look into the human person. So what we have here is a broader awareness that vocation and mission does not just depend on strictly spiritual matters. No, it involves also the greater understanding of the human person. So I guess even from among the other religious here from the Philippines, I think that's part also of their formation. Now, from with other countries, I guess it's a matter of kind of trying to develop it gradually, because there's a need to train more experts in the field. That's why we offer programs here in the Philippines in terms of religious formation with the aspect of psycho-spiritual formation, so that our sisters and priests can bring them home to their countries and assist in the formation of religious. So here, there's a need for openness now on the part of the seminarian. No? So for most of our seminaries, this psychological assessment is a requirement. No? And like here in San Jose Seminary, they're now in the process of interviewing the candidates for admission to theology. So how do they start? How do they do the process? First, I think they start with a basic intelligence test. No, I think they do Otis. Have you heard of the Otis IQ test? No, Otis it's the verbal reasoning. No, there are sentences in English that will test one's intelligence. No, so then there's also what we call Raven. Raven is a test wherein words are not used, but they are abstract figures. And so they have sets of figures. So this one. So what should be the next? And there are choices below. So there it tests again intelligence, but not basic intelligence without use of words. No? So that's the first level. And then the second level, if they are able to, some are really screened out because to become priests and religious sisters, we need to be we need to have this. No, it's difficult not to have this. So how can we serve people well and without this? No, so some are screened out. Those who remain, they take the Ateneo entrance test. No, the AGAT, we call it AGAT, Ateneo Graduate Admission Test. AGAT. I think some of you took that AGAT recently, no, because you're applying to STL. Yeah, so the AGAT. So after that, those who we feel in consult the formators there consult us. Those we think are capable of doing studies here in the master's program and the ecclesiastical STB program. Then they submit them to a psychological assessment. So how long? There are different types of psychological exams, no? But the exams that they give in San Jose, but also to us Jesuits, is quite a long exam. It's a whole day of a psychological exam. like a battery, like a battery of exams. So one of the exams is you're shown a picture and then you write a story about the picture. Yeah, so there, so I don't know. The psychologists know how to interpret all that. And then after that, the psychological test. So the results are, we do it in Ateneo Psychology Department, Bulatao Center. So then they provide a basic report. Is basically is what are the strengths and weaknesses of this person? That's basically. They don't ask about vocation. Just how is this person as a, in terms of, in particular, the level of maturity. And then with that, they interview the candidates. Now they are doing interviews because based on the psychological tests, no, if somebody appears, because it's possible to detect one who is how do you put that? They're not really crazy, no. There are some pathological issues, no. Excessive obsessive compulsive personality, those can be detected in a psychological test. Some might be neurotic, no? And then these are the people whom we should not admit to formation, no, to the seminary. Because when we admit really problematic persons, men or women, then we are afraid that they might go eventually be ordained or profess their vows and then deal with the people of God, and the people of God will suffer. So that's what we want to avoid also, no? Because we only want to give, the best service that we can to the people of God. So and then there's screening at each stage, no? And then the last part with the interview, there might be questions that they might want to ask based on the results, for example, of their psychological test. They want to verify. There's no substitute to a personal face-to-face interview of a vocation. And then there are so many other things that might emerge in that conversation in an interview. Usually there are three who interview a candidate. So here it's a process, and psychological consultation is just one aspect. So according to Ratio Fundamentalis, the psychological assessment is done within the wider context of discernment. No? The formators who assess the candidate, they are discerning whether or not this candidate, based on his, we're talking about the seminary formation, so I'm using his. No? Is this person open and has the capacity to change in the seminary for the betterment, no, of himself in order to be able to serve the people of God? It says here to discern if the call of the candidate is freely taken up as a personal choice. As a personal choice. Why? That's why they're applying. They're making a personal choice. Correct? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You know why? There are some young men, or not so young men, who enter the seminary for various reasons. They might say, I want to serve God. Maybe that's what we all said. Why do you want to enter religious? I want to serve God. But in some cases, because of these interviews and psychological tests, it emerges, for example, that this person is actually escaping from something. Escaping from whatever. No? The person might actually think that the seminary or the convent is a place of refuge. No? This is a place where I can have the peace of mind and the peace in my life that I can achieve only in the seminary. So if you have that kind of a motivation, is that the kind of motivation that we would admit to the seminary or formation for service in the church? So all these have to be seen whether this person is freely taking up the vocation as a personal choice. In some cases, in seminaries, diocesan seminaries, where you have younger candidates, it is not the seminarian who has the vocation. Who has the vocation? The mother. The parents have the vocation. So probably it is not the choice. It is not a personal choice of the seminarian, but it is the choice of the mother. But this does not just happen to younger vocations. Huh? Even for more mature, around even 35, 40 years old, that might still be the motivation in the mind of this person. Oh, my mother wanted me to become a priest, so I wanted to please my mother. Okay, so I heard the story. Well, this in the diocesan setting. This person was ordained as a priest. He was at that time when he left the priesthood. He was just around 5 years as a priest. In fact, he was studying licentiate at that time in UST. Now, what was his story? Um, uh, yeah, his family, his parents were really kind of enjoining him to enter the seminary. And that's not bad, no? It's good. In fact, many parents would be very happy to find their sons in the seminary. That's not bad at all. And eventually, he entered as the seminary. But before he entered the seminary, he had a girlfriend. He had a girlfriend. So there, okay, he was in fact not quite really sure about entering the seminary, but eventually he entered the seminary. He was also happy to please his parents. So now in the seminary, he was already discerning about leaving the seminary before his diaconate ordination. Uh, However, towards third year, I think, or even fourth year of his theological studies, the father got sick. The father had cancer. So now at this time, he was discerning to leave, but he said, how can I leave? Because if I leave the seminary, that might affect the health of my father. My father might die, no, not just of cancer, but even of depression. So that's the context. So eventually, he submitted himself to ordination with that kind of concern in his mind. So the question is, did this young man have the complete freedom to make a decision to embrace the diaconate and eventually the priesthood? Okay, so now he was a young priest, then the father died. And when the father died, it was like there was no reason for him anymore to stay in the priesthood, because his vocation was not really grounded on what the vocation should be. No, it should be an offering of oneself in the service of God's people, in whatever form of service it might. And then eventually he met his former girlfriend, and then they came together, and then whatever follows. Eventually he left the priesthood. So there, again, we're talking about individuals making a personal choice. Another goal of to sustain of the psychological test basically is to sustain the candidate's maturation towards the call. So because with the psychological results in the hands of the formators, no, sorry, let me correct myself. The psychological results are given to the provincial, because it is a private document. No, of course the psychologist has the document, but the document is given to the major superior. Okay, so that's quite important. That's a matter of protection of the privacy. So our psychological tests are not distributed to everybody in the formation community. No, so otherwise there's nothing more to hide. But what the provincial might do is to give feedback. No, this guy June might need some assistance in this aspect. He might need assistance. He seems to have a kind of authority hang up. No, he seems to be afraid to deal with figures of authority, the superior. You might want to help him out, kind of to get out of this kind of a problem, no? And so those kinds of information can be shared, but not the psychological test itself. Now with information that we get from the psychological test, the formator can help the person in his maturation, no? To address certain kinds of issues that might affect the formation of this young man. Okay, I saw somebody kind of asking a question. I'm sorry I could not read the chat. What was written in the chat? Anyone? Okay. Okay, none? Okay lang, sige. So we can proceed. So again, I saw some pictures here. I'm not sure if it's clear on your part because here it's kind of too bright, no? Yes, question here.
Someone I need for me a plans to let the candidate know feedback the issue of the
Okay. So that's a good question. Now, the question is, if a young man or woman submits himself or herself to a psychological test, will he or she receive feedback from the psychologist? Yes, there should. Okay. Okay, again, there are certain kind of differences depending on the procedure, no? For us, the Jesuits, okay, the psychologist is a Jesuit priest. So after the tests, no, first he will analyze first just on paper, and then he will call each person who took the entrance exam, the psychological exam, for a conversation, which includes feedback giving, and also it includes some verification. So is this correct? You tell me if that's true to you. So there is a kind of an interview that happens based on the results of the psychological test. No? That would be ideal, I think. Otherwise, without that, the major superior decides on the basis of paper, which is not enough. No, not enough. No. So there. So ideally, I think there should be a personal interview between the psychologist and the candidate. Yeah.
I think once and also there is consultation after the test and after that they submitted to the mother principal.
Okay, so the psychologist interviews the candidate also. Yeah, I guess that's a good thing. No? Okay. Now, just a question in your own countries, from your own assessment, is there sufficient? Are there sufficient experts or institutes that can help in giving this psychological assessment? Like in Vietnam, may I ask, are there kind of psychologists who would focus or specialize on religious vocations or
Those who are there.
who are there? Because these sisters are in the Philippines. No, okay, Sister Mary.
Yes,
Sister
Father.
Mary, yeah,
Yes.
I'm just curious. No, in your context where you are, is there a kind of institution where you can bring your candidates to a psychological assessment?
Truly speaking, we don't have Father. Yes, we
Yeah,
just focus on spirituality.
spiritual.
We have not yet anything about psychology.
Okay.
Yes,
Your
but
location? Are you in Saigon?
no, Father, I am in Dalat,
In Dalat, in
in the
Dalat. Okay.
province. So
Yeah.
in Saigon,
Okay.
maybe different. There are many congregation there and many priests and experts. So easy
Okay.
for the congregation located in Saigon. But to me,
Okay.
in the province, difficult
Yeah.
to find the expert.
Okay.
Yes.
Father Anthony, how about where you in your diocese? Is there a kind of psychological experts, Father Anthony?
Father, for me, I belong to Mỹ Tho diocese. In my diocese, we don't have the psychological test, but in 3 years before we enter the major seminary, the formator will consider whether or not we have the priestly core. And as I know, in the Archdiocese Ho Chi Minh City, they have the psychological test because they have the professional father. He is trained on that area. So for
Okay.
United we don't have father.
Yeah. Usually, again, even here, I think even here in Manila, there are some difficulties about finding already psychological experts. No, because for example, that of Father Roger Shampoo, the Our Lady of Peace Guidance Center, uh, he has a Columban who is his collaborator. He passed away already. So who remains, Father Roger Shampoo, but I don't think they were able to kind of to train more younger personnel. If they have, maybe it's just one or two. No, so there's also that. Now the thing here is because to be able to do this, one should have a degree in psychology. Okay, one has to have a master's in psychology or even a doctorate. But a licentiate is also possible in psychology. Like in Rome at the Gregoria, there's a licentiate in psychology. So Father Michael Portia, your professor in anthropology of the Christian vocation, was trained in that area. Now again, it's ideal if that there would be a psychologist specifically. Now, in the absence of such person, at least one who is kind of sensitive to the inner workings of the human mind and the human personality. No, even just a kind of a licentiate program here in CEFAM or in Emmaus, this will be helpful. Participants there do not become psychologists, no, but they they're kind of a trained in kind of the reading of a person, not just in the spiritual aspect, but more in the psychological aspect. So that's important, no? So I would say those who are our international students, especially belonging to religious congregations, you're welcome to send them here in the Philippines for studies, even here in LSD for some training, even if not degree. Emmaus offers some modules for formation, specifically religious formation. Questions that you might have? Father Yogo.
In my seminary, or even wider in the region of Java diocese, we have one issue about the collecting big data, our seminarians examination, the report of the psychological programs. Once the bishop conference, especially for the commission of seminary, have suggest to collect the big data, and my bishop don't agree about this. And after that, we create our big big data in the diocese, especially about the collection of the data about the seminaries.
Yeah.
But it's very confidential. Only maybe some formators or rectors can read and maybe know about the content of the data.
Yes.
How do you think about
Yes.
this?
I think your bishop, in my opinion, your bishop did well. There are very important ethical principles that are involved in psychological testing. Huh? So again, the basic principle is the psychologist only gives the result to the person in charge. So for religious congregations, it should be our major superior. Now for in the diocesan setting, seminary, to the rector of the seminary. No? As you know, throughout the year, so a lot of psychological tests are produced, no? In the seminary, no? These should not be shared without even without any cardinal at all. No? So they have to be kept, no, in the secret archives of the seminary, and nobody should have access to that except the official of the seminary, the rector or maybe the vice rector, but definitely that information should not be given to a third party. Yeah, because in fact, there might be civil lawsuits, there might be civil cases if that is violated. No? In fact, in our case here, no, because of course through the years we have had psychological testing done on Jesuits who are already in the seminary. Some are already priests. So we had to destroy. Up to a certain year. So definitely people here who are still under formation and young priests, their files are still. Sorry, from the vocations office, everything is forwarded to the provincialate in the archives of the provincialate. So in order to protect the integrity of these psychological tests and results. Yeah.
Father, I have a question.
Yes, please.
This is Leoncia here. I'm just curious. Some congregations or seminary does not have any psychological assessment.
Okay.
And my question is, how are their sisters or their priests or their candidates? How are their performance now in the field that they are already in?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Definitely. We are limited by the resources, no, that are available. No, I am not saying. Well, we are not saying at the same time that those who were not submitted to psychological testing are not good. No, yeah. I don't know any study how they perform. But again, still, well, in the church there has been so many problems, no, about chastity, obedience, no. Again, the question in my mind: could these problems have been detected if the person were submitted to a psychological test? I would say probably it could have been detected, no? Problems that arose eventually during ministry of a priest, had that priest as a seminarian had been assessed psychologically, probably that person might not have been admitted at all to the seminary. But still, I don't know the answer to your question. But I'm almost sure that some problems could have been kind of avoided if there were some exploration about the psychological build-up and maturity of a person. Yeah. Yes.
Answer that question.
Yes.
Our case in the Carmelites, we also have problem of having an entrance exam, psychological entrance exam. So technically, we had our exam, but no experts explained about it, the result.
Yeah.
So we have as sister said, we have big problem nowadays on the psychological market of the priests and the brothers. Now, one thing what we did is we entered to a program with the psychological aspect, like for example, the CPD.
The clinical pastoral education.
So to augment, I think the lack of entrance, we entered to CPD to assess with a specialist on that matter.
Yeah.
Just now, at this very moment, because Father Kimpo is now the vocation director, the provincial director to invest to that psychological entrance to the candidates with the retainers, the retainers psychologists.
So you hired a psychologist?
Yeah.
A lay person?
Okay, a religious.
A religious. Okay. Yeah, that point of Father Chris is important. No? for example, in some congregations and dioceses where there is no psychological assessment, okay, even if there's none, during the period of formation, the psycho-spiritual formation can be added. Okay, so like for example, in here in the Philippines, the sisters, could you share something with us? What formation program among religious congregations are done with the psychological, psycho-spiritual aspect? Is there a common program for novices in the Philippine setting?
Here in
Yes.
Cebu, yeah, I'm here in the south, in Cebu, because we have our postulant directress, and because she asked for that training, so we found there is somewhere in Banawa with the Good Shepherd sisters.
Yeah.
There are psychologists, so there are groups of formators taking this psycho-spiritual accompaniment course, and this is very good, especially for new formators.
Yes. But there are also even the sisters in formation. Do they have a common modules among different congregations? Formation modules for the young sisters themselves?
Here so far, Father, I did not hear if there is a modular classes for postulants, but
Okay.
I am not sure. But for formators, there are courses offered.
Okay, Sister, let me put are you aware of common formation programs for sisters in the psycho-spiritual aspect? Modular. Where was it held? Here, yeah, okay. Yeah. In Tagaytay also. Yeah.
And then we had junior system. I also studied with other relays.
Yeah. Yeah, probably in IFRS, no, the Institute of Formation and Religious Studies, or in ICLA, the Institute for Consecrated Life in Asia, they offer these modules, no? Again, not all congregations might have that psychological assessment, but when they are already in formation, then the congregation can avail of these formation programs for young sisters and young seminarians, no? Now, among diocesan seminaries, during their spiritual pastoral formation year, in fact, that 1 year program for diocesan seminaries in the Philippines was started here in San Jose Seminary in the 1970s. A Jesuit, Father Ben Carlos, started that 1 year of human formation and spiritual formation. Instead of just studying 4 years of theology and then they get ordained. Now, that is very much inadequate. It just focus on the intellectual aspect. If you're intelligent, if you pass your grades, then you can be ordained. Things became more complicated, but I think it is more helpful. So, but what he did within 1 year, it's like because the Jesuits have a 2 year novitiate, he kind of compressed the 2 year novitiate into 1 year in different aspects of formation. They do a 1 month retreat. They have what we call the psycho-spiritual integration. I think it's a 10-day. I don't know if the sisters experience this. They have group sharing about sharing of oneself, one's strengths, weaknesses. It's really like real opening of yourself, and you are guided in a small group by as an expert for processing of our past experiences, helping us with healing in terms of psychological and spiritual healing. So that's it. So it became a 1 year program of both pastoral, psychological, and spiritual. Because during that 1 year, they also have apostolates. They do the CL, the clinical pastoral education, CPE, which is a lot of processing happens there, I think, no? I heard many stories about the CPE about, and it's very, sometimes it can be kind of painful also, you know? When we have to face ourselves and see our weaknesses and address our own issues, there are a lot, it can be a kind of a painful process. Okay. Okay, so this picture, okay, these are seminarians. They look very healthy, like me. See how big they are, no? I think they are from Mexico, Mexican seminaria. So let us look at the various interrelated means, no? What we saw earlier are the goals, the objectives of formation. Now we try to see what are the means to achieve those goals. Okay, obviously, spiritual formation. And so basically, as mentioned, it is to develop a real close relationship with Jesus Christ. Again, we might kind of express that close relationship in different ways, no? Depending on our own charism, even depending on our own sex, no? For some religious men and seminarians, they see Jesus as a friend, no? As a best friend, as a close friend, no? For some, perhaps he more identified with Jesus as a brother, no? As a brother, an older brother. What we call an older brother kuya. You know, kuya, no? We call everybody kuya. Kuya, kuya, kuya. So there. But I wonder, I'm just curious about the women. How do you kind of identify with the Lord? As a friend, brother, curious lang, spouse? Do you, it depends on each person, no?
Friend, father, friend.
Friend ba? Sige nga, let's see.
Close friend.
Close
Intimate
friend, hindi
friend.
asawa, hindi spouse, ano? Hindi kasi Jesus is our brother, eh. How can your brother be your spouse, no?
Changing from.
Yeah. Okay. But sometimes they say, yeah, okay, we have a long history in the Catholic Church. Because sometimes when the women profess the vows, no? They're, especially in the olden times, they dress like bride. Okay, now, mystically, is it, you know, it cannot be, because Jesus is our brother. So how can we, maybe if it's a marriage with the church, that's okay. That when a religious woman professes the vows, it's like she is kind of consecrating herself to the church. Yeah, that's the kind of
For female,
yeah.
when we get married, it's easy like our spouse. But maybe for you, the male.
No, it doesn't. No, the male, we do not look at Jesus as a spouse, no? Okay, as the church, yeah, the church, yeah.
The next consecration is more with the church.
Yeah, correct. With the church, yeah.
Spouse, simply are female.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone? Any other kind of identification? Brother, friend, anything else? No more?
Father.
Yeah.
For me, father.
As a father.
Yes.
Okay. Jesus. Well, God as father. No, God. Okay, that is okay. So yes, there, no, that can take on kind of this close relationship takes on. Well, for others, it's really a savior. A savior who died on the cross and who saved me from my sins and taught me how to be a good person. Yeah, it can be a savior. In fact, in the spiritual exercises of Saint Ignatius, for the 1 month retreat, it seems that he looks at Jesus as his master, as his king. That's more of the image that comes out in the spiritual exercises of Saint Ignatius. Yeah. As a brother, it seems did not emerge so much because of the historical context also. He was a soldier under the king of Spain, etc. And it is important to develop a sense of mission. Huh? Now, basically, we're talking about the formation of diocesan seminarians. But normally, we think of mission only for religious congregations. But definitely, this is correct, no? That even diocesan seminarians should develop a sense of mission, even if they will be assigned in their own dioceses. I guess this is an influence of the Second Vatican Council. Why? Because in the Second Vatican Council, the fathers of the council looked at the priesthood as a universal call to mission. It is not a call to serve your own diocese. No. When one is ordained a priest, one is called to serve the world. Now, it just happens now that the priest, the diocesan priest, is a member of the diocese. No? But still, diocesan seminarians should have that view of the mission, the bigger world, outside of their own parish, outside of their own diocese. No? And I think here in LSD, if there's a group of persons who benefit so much from the international character of our school, it is the San Jose seminarians. Because these San Jose seminarians, would you believe me, that when they come here to LSD, it's their first time to have a foreign classmate.
Oh,
Yeah, because they come from these seminaries from different provinces. Some are college seminaries, some, were young professionals. They never had a foreign classmate. So when they study here with you guys, no, and girls, so they realize, there's a bigger world than just the Philippines, no? There's a bigger world than just my own diocese. So when they in the classroom they interact, they learn more about the struggles of the church in China, for example, or in the past the struggles of the church in Vietnam. But now I guess there are less struggles now because there's greater freedom. But new challenges emerge, as you know. Those kinds of for our diocesan seminarians here, they develop a sense of mission. Here, spiritual formation should lead our seminarians to realize that faith and charity in ministry contribute to one's own personal sanctification, as compared to the idea that personal sanctification only comes from prayer and faith. Definitely, yes. No? Faith and prayer lead to personal sanctification. But here it says, even ministry. When we do ministry eventually as priests, that contributes to our own personal sanctification. So here we have the dynamics of contemplation and mission and ministry. No? In the scripture, we have the image of Martha and Mary. No, Jesus did not condemn Mary for sitting there at his feet, listening to him. It's just an image that here, as Christians, more so for those being prepared for ministry as priests, they have to experience both. They should be Martha and they should be Mary at the same time. One who works hard. No, even sometimes they might get burnt out because of work. But work in ministry, but also faith and prayer contribute to sanctification. To cultivate virtues which are highly valued in human relationships. No? Virtues, this can be learned in the seminary because in some cases, there are certain virtues that we do not learn outside the seminary. For example, here in Loyola House of Studies, again, this pertains to the internationalization of formation programs. There, we have those who profess vows and they're studying philosophy and junior aid. They come from different countries: China, Malaysia, Singapore. We have from East Timor. We have Myanmar. So every year, they have a kind of a module. It's just a one evening of an evening and the whole morning. It's a seminar on interculturality. Interculturality, because for many of them, it's not the first time because in the novitiate they already international. But this aspect of internationality we do not necessarily learn in the home. No, but when we come in an international community, we realize that there are certain kinds of behavior and actions and attitudes that contribute to harmonious community living, but there are also attitudes which kind of run counter to healthy community living. One example is one of feeling of superiority. Yeah, so that's the first ingredient to destroy community life in an international community. Yeah, so yeah, so it's good if at least here in Asia, most are Asians, no? So more or less we have the same, what do you call that, range of mentality, no? Because sometimes if you have Europeans or Americans, then they are different wavelength, no? So they feel sometimes very superior, as if everything in the US and Europe is number one, and then we Asians are lower. But here again we have, but also for us Asians, di ba? For most, we have a sense of how do you put it? A sense of what is proper and or not proper. We try to sense what the other person might be feeling. We try to anticipate the reaction or the feelings of each other. No, so there, but also there are problems there. Some people don't want to speak anymore their mind because they are kind of respectful. There will be a professor here next semester who will teach a course on synodality. The course is entitled The Theology and Practice of Synodality, Asian Perspectives. So the professor is a Singaporean laywoman, Dr. Christina Keng. He was our guest speaker here in our TO Hour, but she is a member of the Synod of Bishops, the Commission on Methodology. She explained to us when we had a meeting in Thailand regarding synodality. There are aspects in the Asian culture which supports synodality, but there are also aspects in our culture that is counter to synodality. Yeah. So there are aspects in our lives also which are kind of in our religious life and seminary formation that run counter to common and harmonious community living. Okay, so those cultivation of virtues to harmonize human and spiritual values, as mentioned earlier. To love the church, here, at this time in the history of the church, so many people, of course, the church is, our leaders, the Pope, no? At this time, so many people love the Pope, Pope Francis, but I think so many people also are against him, no? Again, I really believe that the Pope is chosen in various historical contexts, chosen by the Holy Spirit. No? When Pope John Paul was chosen to be the Pope, it was an action of the Holy Spirit, and see what the contribution that he did, no, to the church. I think this year will be the 40th anniversary of World Youth Day. World Youth Day, and remember, do you know World Youth Day? So it was started by Pope John Paul II, and it has done a great deal of good, no, for the young people, the youth in our country, in the world, no. But then eventually Pope Benedict, no, of course there were problems about the sexual abuse, and he had to, but he himself he tried to really address those problems of sexual abuse of minors. And then now comes Pope Francis, who is trying to reform the church and to make it a more participative church. So again, there are people, seminarians and sub-seminaries, who should be trained in loving the church, led by our Pope Francis. No? Of course, now there are this tension between what we call, I don't like labels. No, we have conservatives and progressives. No, but everyone is a member of the church. What everyone would like to happen is to make the church really try to approximate what Christ might want for the church. Okay, so develop a humble and filial charity to the Roman Pontiff, and also to our own bishops, and to one's brothers and sisters in friendly cooperation. and for our diocesan clergy to be prepared for fraternal unity in the diocese. In the Philippines, for example, there are many seminaries around. No? Some are in Manila, some are in the provinces. No? In some dioceses, they have their own seminary, regional seminary. No? And all their seminarians go study theology in this seminary. They get ordained and they go to the diocese. In other seminaries, it is interdiocesan. Like San Jose Seminary, it has around, there are 18 seminarians now. There might be around 15 dioceses there represented in the seminary. It is crucial for them, but also for UST. They are more there. I think there are around 80 seminarians there from different dioceses again. Again, the challenge for them is to go back to their own dioceses and experience that fraternal unity within the diocese. No? Because many from UST, they go back to their diocese, and their diocese have a regional seminary. So they are like kind of from outside. They study in Manila and they go back to their diocese. No? Now, to lead them to insert themselves in the presbyterium is a crucial aspect. I won't be surprised if some of the priests there in the local diocese, oh, these are Manila boys, city boys, city boys. But they are the provincial boys. Is that true in Indonesia also? Yeah. Are you a Jakarta boy? Yeah. And tell you something. No? Anyway, this is not a secret. Here in San Jose Seminary, they have a strong bonding. In the seminary, they are very strong. They call themselves Josefinos. San Jose, no? Josefinos. So they have a strong bonding. And it's a good kind of bonding. Huh? They have what they call a Josefino spirit. Now, in some cases, when they go back to their dioceses, there are other alumni of San Jose Seminary. Sometimes they kind of click onto each other. And they're like a clique, you understand? But sometimes the other priests kind of feel like outside. No? So that's a challenge. It should not be that way. No? But anyway, they try their best to kind of reach out. What the challenge really is to maintain their bond of brotherhood in the seminary and yet feel truly united, the fraternal unity in the diocese also. I don't know if UST alumni experience that also. Huh?
It's not in the diocese, but it's
Yes?
in the congregation.
In the congregation.
Yeah.
Okay. In what sense?
Because, for example, if your formation is in Spain, when you send back to the Philippines, and many years, some even did not pass to visit the provincial.
Yeah. In some congregations, they have formation programs abroad. No, like in your case, the Siervas de Jesus, it's a Spanish foundation.
Yeah,
Before, so many used to go to Spain for formation. So some are European trained, some are only in Vietnam. Joke only. Yeah, so that kind of a kind of unity within the congregation has to be maintained. Okay, then again, as I mentioned, the development of friendships in the seminary is quite important, no? But of course, friendship in the seminary should not be too close, no? And sometimes, I don't know, does that happen? Carmelites? Matawa ka, that happens. It happens it's a human condition. It's a human situation. So now it really depends on for formators to assist, no? To grow into maturity. So some formators might observe, oh, these two sisters are too close to each other. Always together, at meals, or they always walk together.
Yes.
Is there something there?
Calling attention, Father.
Yeah. No, we have to avoid exclusive relationships. No? Okay, sometimes it's tarnished by by sexuality issues, no? Sometimes it has sexuality issues. But the formator should be able to guide each one towards a greater sense of maturity also in this regard. Okay, let's take a break. It's around 3:30. Can we come back at around 3:40? No, sorry, 3:50.
Yes.
So let's take a kind of 20-minute break. So we come back at 3:50, 10 minutes before 4 o'clock. Okay, see you.
Thank you, Father.
Sister Chris? Sister Chris de Quiros? Okay, wala si Sister. Sister Jennifer Ober? Sister Jennifer, are you here? Okay. So thank you to those who submitted their final reflection paper. So if you have not yet, for those graduating only, for those who are graduating, you can still submit to me your final reflection papers within this week. It's okay. For those who are not yet graduating, you still have until the end of the semester to submit the reflection paper. Okay, can we resume? So what are the means again of spiritual formation? Of course, the Holy Eucharist. We celebrate the Mass in the seminary every day. Now, in many seminaries on Sunday, they go to the apostolate and they have the Eucharist in their apostolate areas. In some seminaries, even they start their apostolate on Saturday in the areas. So, here in the Philippines, one of the reasons why in the diocesan seminaries, in all diocesan seminaries, the reason why we have 4-year theology is because of the pastoral formation. No? Because of if their academic load becomes very heavy, then they might not have enough time anymore for apostolate and for their ministries. In many cases, Saturday, Sunday. But in other seminaries, apostolate is done during the weekday also. Liturgy of the hours. So although for seminarians, they're not yet required really to use the liturgy of the hours for prayer. In terms of requirement, there's no requirement. But once they get ordained as deacons, then the praying of the liturgy of the hours become obligatory. So therefore, in many seminaries, they already train their seminarians in the prayer of the liturgy of the hours. Of course, as a sacrament of reconciliation, usually this is done every month in many diocesan seminaries. The prayer of the rosary, basically, the 4 devotion to our Blessed Mother. Personal prayer, of course. Again, this is important, this personal prayer. I think if a seminary, all the seminary does is common prayer, recitation of prayer, liturgy of the hours. If that's all our seminarians do, that is not enough. They can do that even without developing an interior life. They can do that without developing a personal relationship and friendship with Jesus. No? But this is what's quite important. Their personal moment of prayer, individual. Individual, real like as a friend, dialogues with a friend. Sometimes when we recite the holy hours, there's no more prayer that happens. It's just basically recitation. No, so yeah, it's prayer. It's verbal prayer. But is it really interior kind of prayer? No, but I'm not saying liturgy hours is bad. No, it's not. No, but there is a way of praying the liturgy of the hours that facilitate personal prayer. Okay, and then many times it's also sung. No, I wonder, do you sing the liturgy of the hours, the whole thing? No, not the whole thing. No, the Psalms, I suppose. Yeah, Psalms. It depends on our own traditions. No. In our religious congregations. Yeah, again, it depends. Sometimes the fact that it is sung does not necessarily lead you to prayer. Sometimes you can even get irritated if it's not the right tune. So might as well recite it. So it all depends. No? But again, this is important, the personal mental prayer. No? Because here it is here that you can test. It is here that you can test really if the person has a personal relationship with the Lord. No? If he's always present during common prayer, good. Pass, A minus. But then if there's no common prayer, there's no more prayer. There's the thing, no? The personal initiative is important. So there. So I hope our formation programs give a lot of space for personal prayer. Yeah. And then, of course, retreat. Each of our congregation has its own way and the frequency of the retreat, different ways. But for the diocesan seminaries, the retreat is usually an annual retreat. No? Usually, it depends. In San Jose Seminary, it's 5 days retreat. 5 days. In your seminary, Father Theologians, how many days is the retreat? 8. Oh, 8 days. Huh? Okay. Yeah, for us Jesuits, it's also 8 days. No, for the annual retreat, the spiritual exercises. Yeah. The retreat is really an intense, an more intense experience of prayer. You know, I have to confess, sometimes because of the schedule, sometimes there are some lapses in my own experience in daily prayer. So lapses like that. No, but when I do my 8-day retreat, that's when it's like I look at it as it's a way to kind of recuperate, no, to catch up, the catch up on prayer, because it's an 8-day retreat of silent prayer, silent retreat, and it's when I can catch up in my prayer. So so there, it's for us. So it's a 8-day continuous, no, continuous. So therefore, there was one year that I was so extra busy. I asked my superior, can I have my retreat divided into 2, like 4 days in the first semester and then 4 days in the second semester, because to be away from your work for 8 days a bit long. No. The superior said, no, 8 days straight. It cannot be 4 days, 4 days like that. Yeah, because there's a dynamics, of course. We might already know this. No? There's a dynamics, for example, in a 5-day or 8-day retreat, that as you progress during the retreat, the prayer becomes deeper. And so if you cut it very short, then just when it's becoming deeper, then you cut it already. Because the retreat dynamics it's a hopefully, no, it's a dynamic of going deeper into prayer. So there. Now there are different kinds of retreat. No, probably many of us have experienced the preach retreat. No, somebody gives the points, gives an inspirational kind of points for prayer, and then we go on our personal prayer. Usually, even when I was a scholastic, no, seminarian, that's what we did. But eventually, now at least in the Ignatian context, no, there is more kind of a one-on-one. You have a director, retreat director, and then the director sees the retreatant personally every day, no? And then based on their conversation, based on the discernment of spirits that happen during the conversation, then the retreat master kind of suggests some prayer points. It's an individualized kind of a retreat. No? Kasi naman, if it's a preach retreat, it's a common, no? Common. Regardless of each one's situation, no? You're all the same, more or less. I know that you're all the same congregation of sisters, for example, but my point is the same for everyone. Now, in this individualized one-on-one, so the retreatant gives or shares her own year. How was your past year? What were your joys? No? What were your struggles through the past year? And with that, then the retreat master tries to kind of bring or help the retreatant to a personal contact with the Lord based on his or her own experience. So it's individualized kind of a retreat. And then even diocesan seminarians are to be formed in the evangelical councils. No? So let us not think, only religious, they have vow of poverty, chastity, obedience. No? For us, diocesans, we only have obedience. No, I'm just joking. No, they also have the three, although of course they do not profess the vows themselves, but they live it out. No? I remember now the joke, no? A diocesan priest said, "Oh, you religious, you you profess the vow of poverty, but we diocesans we live it out." so, because of course the religious, no, they are cared for by their congregation, but we diocesans we're on our own. No? We live out our vow of just poverty. Okay, but syempre vow of chastity, no. The religious live it out, but not joke. No. Okay, forget. Erase. Okay, so there formation in the evangelical council, so Canon 247. I'm just copying it verbatim here, no? From the canon, from the book. By appropriate instruction, the seminarians, are to be prepared to observe celibacy. No? Okay, technically, what does the word celibacy mean? Celibacy means the state of not being married. Walang asawa, no? Not married. But of course, celibacy means more than just not being married, no? Celibacy includes chastity, no? Which for us religious is a vow that we profess, no? So therefore, it's also celibate chastity. Okay? Now, the students are to be given all the requisite knowledge concerning the duties and burdens which are proper to the sacred ministers of the church, concealing none of the difficulties of priestly life. Yeah, it's very important, huh? So when the seminarians undergo formation, they should know the truth. So for example, if you are the formator, you cannot tell your seminarians, "Oh, don't worry. When you get ordained, your sexual urges will all disappear." Is that true?
No.
Or for the sisters, when you profess the vows of chastity, poverty, obedience, you will never feel any temptations of the flesh. I don't think that's true, no? So we should really be realistic, no? And the reason there is so that the seminarians can make an informed and a free decision to embrace the priesthood and to embrace celibacy. Now, don't be shocked if I tell you that this celibacy, no, this celibacy is a rule only in the Latin Catholic Church. Here in the Philippines, Rome, the city of Rome itself in Italy, the rite that we follow is the Latin rite. No? However, there in the Catholic Church, the same Catholic Church, we have what we call the Oriental rite, Oriental Catholic Church. No? So if you recall, at the big occasions at St. Peter's Square, for example, the election of the new Pope, the Thanksgiving Mass there, you have many bishops who look like the normal bishops that we know. The vestments with the mitre like that, they are Latin rite. But you observe some look different. Are they non-Catholics? No, they are Catholic bishops. But they belong to the Oriental rite. No? In the Oriental rite, okay, the priests are allowed to marry. Okay? It's only in the Latin rite where the priests, we are bound by celibacy. Okay. Did you know that? So the rule of celibacy is what we call an ecclesiastical law. It is an ecclesiastical law that was decided in the council in the Middle Ages because of certain problems and abuses with regard to married priests. No? So therefore the council ruled that from here on in the Latin rite, priests have to be celibate. So honestly, and then directly speaking, it is an ecclesiastical law. It is not a divine law. Okay? If ecclesiastical laws can change depending on the utility, the historical context, they can change, no? Canon law can change, no? There might come a time when the color for the ordinary time will already be color yellow. Because these are ecclesiastical liturgical laws. Even the law of celibacy can change. No? So that's the reality. Because in fact, in the Oriental Rite, their priests are married. Who are not married? The bishops are not married. If one would like to become a bishop, then that priest should not get married. Okay, so that's the situation. Okay. Celibacy, as mentioned, it is for us in the Latin Rite, it is strictly connected with the service of pastoral charity. So I don't know if, because we have gotten so used in the Catholic Church, Latin Rite, of celibate priests. We could not imagine having the children of the priest in the convento. So we, to our Filipino, no, not just the Filipina, but even the Vietnamese. So could you imagine your priest having the wife there? You want to have you want to consult, or you want to go to confession, and you knock at the door. Who opens the door? Can I go to confession to the father, to the priest? Oh yeah, I'll call my husband for a while. So, but anyway, for us, really, a Catholic priest in the Latin Rite is not bound by any marriage bond, and he is not bound to one family. He is bound to serve the people of God in its totality, no? In the parish. So, I could not imagine really in the Philippines having married clergy, because in the Philippines there are many, manang, the single women, no, not just single, married women. Some of them are old. They are very active in the parish, the manang. So I could imagine how they will feel if this priest has a wife, no? Because the manangs are so close to the priest. So, and if the priest is so focused only on his wife, no? What will the manangs feel? No? They'll feel jealous. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, do you foresee that this rule of celibacy will become optional in the Catholic Church?
In the future.
When? In what century? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you agree, huh? Maybe some of you would like to have the priest to be, because one thing, no, remember all these cases of sexual abuse, so like that. Some said, oh, the reason for that is because the priests are not married. You agree? That the reason for sexual abuse is celibacy in the Catholic Church?
The Muslim also.
Because there are also cases of sexual abuse in the other Christian churches, no? In the Protestant churches, even among I was surprised, no? The cases of abuse came out in Africa, in the sports clubs, the soccer, because many African countries are strong on soccer. So sexual abuse happens among the young boys there, and those who train them. I was really shocked. So it's not just ecclesiastical, no? Even outside. So I guess that's not a good reason to say it's because of celibacy. Now the question there is religious, no? Because religious have vows of chastity. So it's not possible for religious priests to get married, no? Ever. Not just the near future, forever. Okay, now the celibacy cannot be reduced simply to the observation of an ecclesiastical law, no? And for us, it gives us full psychological freedom to devote ourselves to the sacred ministry for the priests. And it provides, we have to have emotional stability, to remain faithful in our celibacy. Okay? So therefore, also for religious women like you, no? Well, of course, with your vows, no? But again, it's, even if there were diocesan priests who are women, I could not even also consider these women getting married and having children. So how can they serve, the people full time if they are bound by, by family? That kind of a thing. But of course, for us religious Asians, it's not that we totally separate ourselves from family. No, we have our parents, we care for them also. We have brothers and sisters, but that's a different matter. No. Okay. Yes, please, Father, please.
Yes. Speaking of that, Philippines as well, we received permission of permanent.
Yes.
And technically, they know someone that they're married, but they're applying. But of course, you don't have any guidelines.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Very many applicants already in the diocese. They're married, so I think we are speaking about the celibacy. How can we interrelate with that?
Yeah, so just an update for everyone. So I don't know when, but some years ago, the CBCP endorsed, no? Endorsed meaning requested for permission that the permanent diaconate be established in the Philippines. No? Because the rule is this, in canon law, as you will see in our class, we have permanent deacons in canon law. No? But for a country to have permanent deacons, the Bishops' Conference needs to petition the Vatican to establish the permanent diaconate in their country. So some years ago, CBCP endorsed the application to the Vatican to have a permanent diaconate in the Philippines. Recently, the Vatican responded, yes. Yes, we now establish the permanent diaconate in the Philippines. No? So who are we talking about? This can be single men who get ordained deacons, but they do not get ordained priests. No, because now we have what we call the temporary diaconate. The seminarians in fourth year, after fourth year, they get ordained deacons. After around 6 months, they become priests. So here we're talking about one, young men who will not become priests, but they will be permanent deacons. Okay, so in that case, since they are already deacons, they cannot get married. No, but there are also married men, already married. They can be ordained as deacons permanently. They will not become priests. So that is what is allowed already in the Philippines. However, the Bishops' Conference has not given yet their implementing rules and regulations. They have not even told us what is the formation program that will be required of permanent deacons who are single and young or more mature in age and married. Now, a young man can also be married. No? For example, a 30-year-old man is married. Then he can be a permanent deacon, not just old men. No? Because normally we have in mind old men who are married becoming permanent deacons. So we're just waiting. Because we ourselves here in LSC are waiting. Because once we know the formation program, we would like to prepare a program for them to help them to be trained. So that's it. Okay, so now obedience. Okay, even seminarians have to be formed in obedience. So it says here, true and mature obedience. Why? Because there's a kind of obedience that is not true. It's a false obedience. There's also a kind of obedience that is not mature, immature obedience. No, so there again, as formators, we have to have a kind of a sense, no, a sense of how you might have a seminarian who keeps on obeying and obeying, but in his heart, it is not true obedience. So he's just being forced. No, it's kind of an external kind of obedience. So then we have to be sensitive to that. So the seminary norms must be firm and observed, but that's not the end of the sentence, no? Though also applied with necessary flexibility. Yeah. So the obedience that they will profess eventually as deacons and priests will be to the bishop. No? For us religious, we profess our obedience to our superiors. No? For us religious, we obey many people, no? Because you have your superior in your house, so you also have a provincial superior, no? When you transfer to another community, you have another superior. You have to be obedient also. But for diocesan priests, how many do they obey?
Bishop.
Only one. Only the bishop. Is there a kind of obligation to obey somebody else apart from the bishop? Like the vicar, the vicar foreign, no? The vicar foreign is a kind of is a leader of a cluster of parishes. Should you obey him? There's no obligation, no? No. You don't promise obedience to your vicar foreign. No? You promise obedience, huh?
The parish priest, otherwise you're
you're the assistant parish priest. If you have to, you have to obey your parish priest, no? Otherwise, you don't get a mass assignment. You don't get stipend also. I mean, that's it, no? And really the challenge I think, no, I have very little experience in the diocese, but really how the bishop can kind of have a good relationship with the priests in a personal way. No, in the context of a diocese, for example, that's big. In Jakarta, how many priests are incarnated in Jakarta?
Diocesan priest.
Yeah,
80.
80. Huh? Yeah. So the bishop, no, I think the bishops now might be a little bit different from the bishops of before, no? I don't know. Before, the bishops were kind of had an impression of very authoritarian, cold, like that, no? So they're like a general, like that. But now maybe bishops are more, first, they're younger. Number two, they're kind of probably more trained in the human formation. So hopefully they're able to relate better with their priests, no? How old is the Archbishop of Jakarta? Still young?
This year is 74.
Oh, 74. Yeah. So anyway, I won't ask the qualities of your Archbishop because, well, yeah. So really, in a sense, no, it's not easy for the role given to bishops is quite difficult also, no? To be able to lead the diocese together with your own priests, no? Yeah. But some, of course, some are hesitant to become bishops, no? But some are not actually hesitant, no, to become a bishop. No? Have you heard of this story? There's a story. Did I tell you the story about this? There was a priest who was called by the nuncio. No, not yet. No. So there was this diocesan priest. So he received a call from the nuncio. Father, could you come here to the nunciature? Because I have an important message for you. So he was afraid. Oh my God, why is the nuncio calling me? So immediately he went to the nunciature. And then when he saw the nuncio, Father, the Holy Father has a special message for you. The Holy Father is considering you to become a bishop. A bishop. Okay, wait, but the nuncio said, but you have to pray about it first. And then the priest said, where's the chapel? Where's the chapel? So he was really looking for the chapel so he could already pray and be appointed bishop. So the diocesan priest, don't be angry with me. So that's it. Where's the chapel? Where's the chapel? Okay. So and then also poverty in spirit. Now, diocesan priests, many of them really live heroic lives. No, they don't have any sense of support from us. Like for us, we are supported by our congregation. Diocesan priests, they don't have any. Well, maybe from the bishop. No, they get financial support from the bishop. So that's why when they don't have professed a vow of poverty, it's really for their In some cases, it's for their survival. No? But many dioceses now are trying to work that out in such a way that priests who are assigned in poorer parishes, they have a kind of a socialized system. Because before, if you're assigned in a big parish, so you have big income. But if you're a priest assigned in a poor parish, you're poorer. You have less finances. So some dioceses already gave us the same amount of subsidy for all priests, regardless of your place of assignment. But so therefore, they may own property, but still they're enjoined to have poverty in spirit. Okay? That kind of poverty in spirit, wherein they really feel free and docile as children of God. No, they're not attached to material things, but always open to God spiritually. Okay, they attain that spiritual restraint, which is necessary for finding the right attitude towards the world and worldly goods. Many diocesan priests, because they have bank accounts, no? They need something for their sustenance, for their lives. But of course, there's a great danger there. There's a great temptation for accumulation of material goods. For us religious, it might still be a temptation, but for others, there is no temptation at all because we are prohibited from having our own bank accounts. No, but for the diocesans, the challenge really there is that spiritual restraint. No, to have the proper attitude towards worldly goods. No, and the goods of the earth. And they're enjoined to deny, things that are superfluous. No? You need to have the latest brand of cell phone. You need to have the most expensive kind of cell phone. Here in the Philippines, many diocesan priests, they have beautiful cars. No? Yeah, so therefore, when there's a gathering of clergy, they look at the cars of their other priests in the dioceses. Some are very nice cars. No? And then some of them, they change cars every number of years. How often do they change cars, Father Chris? Iba nga, very new pa, then they buy a new one. Well, the reason is because if they get old, the cars get old, then the depreciation, they have difficulty to sell the car. Yeah. Okay. Missionary formation, as mentioned, is important for our seminarians. They're concerned not only for the particular church that they belong to, but for the universal church. Now, we have a phenomenon here in the Philippines. I'm not sure if it happens in Indonesia or in Vietnam. Many diocesan priests from the Philippines, they go out, they go to other countries. To serve there. Like there was a time in the 1980s, 1990s, so many Filipino priests left their own dioceses, many of them without permission from their bishop, and migrated to the US. And then they served the church in the USA. In some cases, like I know some have left the seminary here, they're not yet priests, and a number have gone to Australia or New Zealand, and they are accepted by the bishop there, and they become priests for the dioceses in Australia and in New Zealand. No? So again, I heard there was one. I know one seminarian from San Jose before. He left the seminary and went to Australia. He's now a priest. In New Zealand. So some frown at it, no? Some don't like that idea. Why does he have to go to Australia or to New Zealand to become a priest there? When we have a lot of great need, here in the Philippines for priests. Some former Jesuits, they left, but two are now priests in Australia. So I wonder what's your opinion about that? Does that in Vietnam? Are there many priests who go abroad for
not abroad in my diocese, not going abroad, but to the another diocese that need praise, especially in the rural area like Papua or Borneo.
Yes.
Very good.
In a sense, really, they go on a mission, no? Mission, yeah. In other places, they go from their own poor diocese to go to a richer diocese. Yeah. Ako personally, like regarding these priests from the Philippines who go abroad, part of it is finances, no? Part of it is really financial. Because once they go to the Australia, no, they eventually become citizens. But even if they're not yet citizens, I think they can bring in their families also. There's a kind of visa that they can do that, no? Also in the US also. So part of it really is finances, no? Because they have a better options there. They have a greater salary because they're employed, no, by the diocese. So part of it is really that, no? But if you look at it also, without these Filipino priests in these countries, many people will not be served by the church. It is because they're there. So these seminaries have more priests now, and then they can serve, because there are no more white Australians who enter the seminary. If there are, they're very rare. I heard even in the Diocese of Butuan in Mindanao, there was a bishop in Australia who would go there to the seminary to recruit seminarians to go to his seminary in Australia. Yeah, and I admire the bishop there for allowing the local bishop. You see that openness, no? That openness to the universal mission of the church. Surely, of course, he will lose seminarians for his diocese, but that kind of openness, I think it's for me, it's admirable. No, even if he will lose some, but in another place, part of the world, will gain some. No? So that kind of
in our diocese, we have the same diocese. Last year, Father, because many people who did not pass to the entrance exam to the seminary, so there are also bishops from
other countries
just to have interview those who want to try again.
Then they bring them.
Yes.
US?
No, Australia.
Australia also, yeah. Yeah, that's the reality of life, no? Without these foreign vocations, many people, locals, will not be served. Yeah, surely we have a great need in our country, but other countries have greater need. Really. So, yes, Father Chris.
In our congregation, Father, we have the general mandated us to have the concept of missionary. We call the international mindfulness, internationality of our missionary response. Meaning, because we are independent every province, right? And we only have a missionary in Papua New Guinea because they are our missionary areas.
Papua.
Yeah, but again, like for example, in Europe, we are declining locations. So the general is asking personnel from Indonesia, Ireland, in the Philippines, India. So we have scarcity as well of numbers of vocation here, but we have to respond.
Yeah.
Of course, we also have the problem of changing the from religious to the diocese. Most of the missionaries is aspect that different provinces in Europe.
Yeah. I mean, in Europe, the seminaries are empty, practically, especially the diocesans, no? Because for different religious congregations, they're able to bring foreign seminarians and sisters, no, in their religious communities. So, yeah. So, yes, yeah, really, it's the missionary movement is changing already. When before missionaries from Europe and the US comes to our countries. Now, many of our own Asian vocations, they have to go abroad, no, for their mission. Okay, so regarding 257.2, the diocesan bishop is to ensure that clerics who intend to move from their own particular church or their own diocese to a particular church in another region are suitably prepared to exercise the ministry there. Even in canon law, it's kind of a, in fact, it's not encouraging it, but in case there will be changes and transfers to other dioceses, to make sure that the priests are prepared. So there's a kind of openness here. I remember canon law is a fruit of Vatican II, no? So the provisions of canon law were based on the inspiration of Vatican II. Okay, so in our next class next week's our last class, no? So we will conclude our classes and specifically this topic on the formation of diocesan seminarians to become priests. Yes, Father Yogo?
Just for some information, actually, business. Yes. There are some code of conduct to the diocesan priest.
Code of conduct, yeah.
To make sure about authority, about facility or something else, that sometimes it will be a sensitive issue in the faithful in the parish. So we have code of conduct.
So in the Archdiocese of Jakarta, you have that. Okay.
How to wear the attire,
yeah.
How to greet some people or something like that.
Yeah. That would be good. Do we have here in the Philippines? I don't know about the different dioceses, no? Like, for example, we're here in the Diocese of Cubao. Yeah, it would be interesting to find out if the Diocese of Cubao has that similar code of conduct. But that's very important, very useful for our ministry as priests, no, in the diocese. So Jakarta has it. Now, more and more dioceses are required to have a protocol for child safeguarding.
Yes.
Safeguarding of minors and vulnerable adults. The bishops are required by Pope Francis to have their own, but also as religious congregations for men and women. Yeah, for us Jesuits, I think we're still preparing our protocol for the protection of minors. Okay, so other questions that you might have, some concerns? Okay, so in our next class, I'll give you some updates regarding the graduation for those who are graduating, no? So, yeah, you know what? Just share ko na rin sa inyo. You know, it's so hot, no, outside, no? We are in an air-conditioned room here, so it's nice. But as you leave this classroom, it's very hot. Now on May 8th is our graduation. And in our chapel here, it's not air-conditioned. So that is our concern. We're thinking about how to do it, how to, help the graduates and their guests to feel comfortable. But I don't even know how that can happen if the place is not air-conditioned. So anyway, we're still thinking, do we transfer in another venue, which is air-conditioned? But we have to check first the availability of that venue. But anyway, we still have a good deal of time before May 8th, our graduation. Okay. So thank you. So let's close our class with a closing prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
By the way, just a little announcement. If in case you find yourself in Ateneo, here in Loyola, those who do not have yet their ID, please come to the multimedia room. Because all of you are enrolled, so you should have an ID, no? If in case you're able to visit LST, no? So because just earlier, si Father Chris Labrador is here, so he's able to get his ID in a while.
So if those who cannot come, but for example, the same congregation, can I get for her or no?
No, because She has to sign it. Now there's a, yeah. So if you can come, then just get your ID. It will be helpful. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Father.
Father.
Thank you,
Father.
Maria.